Hello and welcome back to my channel. This in fact is a guide, but it's not my conventional one. In fact, this is a completely different guide. This is a guide to what I call efficient farming on Platinum. Now, people have many opinions about farming one way or another, but ultimately farming I see as a necessary evil. We all need to do it because we all need to generate multiplayer revenue in the form of credits. There are efficient ways to do it, less efficient ways to do it, and more efficient ways to do it. Farming Platinum in this manner is what I would consider an efficient way to do it. And I do it reasonably often, and you can get some really good payouts this way. Now, let me just first talk about different approaches to farming. The notorious map for farming is, of course, Get Firebase White. That is not an efficient map for farming, in my opinion. It's I think an easier map in some ways because you have the counter to protect you. So if people are completely inexperienced at farming, that might be, of course, the better option. But the way I look at it is if you have reasonably competent people, you can choose Glacier and you will be a lot faster. So the setup, let's talk about the setup. The most efficient way, in my opinion, this is my experience, this is not prescriptive, I am not making axiomatic statements here, so those people who disagree with me are free to disagree. Once again, not an axiomatic statement, but the best setup for efficient farming is, in my opinion, 1 Get Infiltrator, 1 Destroyer, and 2 Demolishers. The 2 DPS characters, the Get Infiltrator and the Destroyer, provide the firepower. They're the ones who are going to get the quote-unquote top score, although the score, of course, is totally irrelevant in farming. They're the ones who are going to kill things fast, especially bosses. The Demolishers are there for several reasons. One, they're completely in a support role. Their one reason is, of course, to handle trash mobs with arc grenades. They do that quite well. So that's one reason. Another reason is to supply ammo if need be to the DPS characters. And finally, through debuffs, primarily through homing grenade. Homing grenade, I'm not going to talk about the build per se, but if you're going to take homing grenades, which you should definitely take the armor debuff, because it makes taking Atlases and Banshees down a lot faster. Remember, homing debuff level 6 evolution will give you a 60% armor debuff and a 50% weapon damage mitigation against armor. So that's very, very good. So, and apart from, and then you spam grenades. Let's talk about the roles. If I played here a Demolisher, so of course I'm chucking grenades, and I am trying to debuff especially bosses for the DPS characters.
I'm on this one.
One thing you need to bear in mind, and it doesn't take skill, but it just takes a reasonably good memory, is to refresh your pylon as often as possible. I don't always do that. Ideally, depending on what your grenade count is, you want to have full grenades or as many grenades as possible at any given time. You certainly want to look at your CD, and if your CD is up, then refresh your pylon. Ammo is less of an issue, I think, because you're not using your ammo that much. I happen to be using the GPS. I could have used something else. It doesn't really matter that much as long as it's a decent gun when you're farming. The other thing is sometimes if you have a competent team, and I worked with a very good team, we farmed together fairly frequently tonight, so you don't need to ask someone to, I need ammo, refresh your pylon. If you're playing with people who aren't familiar with the setup or forget to refresh their pylon, and you're playing a DPS character, that's another function. So always refresh your pylons as often as possible, fellow Demolishers. That's one thing. If you're playing a DPS character, I never play the GI. Everyone knows what I think about the Get Infiltrator, so I'm not going to talk about that, but I do play the Destroyer. Of course, you want to generate the DPS as much. And I actually, I'm not going to say very much about the Piranhas. I don't like using it. I don't enjoy it. I do use it when I'm farming Platinum because I want the fastest time possible. Not because I'll get into speedruns in a bit. This is not a speedrun, but I just want to get in, get the credits, and get out. Otherwise, on Platinum, I exclusively use the Claymore on the Destroyer as my primary weapon. Well, exclusively 90% of the time. So you want to take the Piranha with some kind of ammo boost, shotgun gear, and that'll be your main weapon for killing things, especially bosses. Multi-frag grenades are very useful for crowd control and phantoms as well, so you want to use them as well, so you have that advantage. I don't play GIs, but the GI also has even higher better DPS than the Destroyer does, and he has Proxy Mine, of course, which creates even more damage debuff, not just an armor debuff. So this combination of 2 Demolishers, 1 GI, and 1 Destroyer, in my experience, produces the best times, and usually gets the job done fastest. Let's talk about time in general. Let's talk about the difference between a speed run and a farming campaign or a farming session. I generally don't do speed runs. I don't enjoy them very much. So I mean, I can do them. I can do them reasonably well if I have to, but that's just not my interest. But with farming, farming combines a lot of different aspects. Farming, it's a boring task. It can be a chore, I admit that. But you do want, ideally, to get a good time, not because you're breaking records or trying to be very cool, but because you want to earn credits in the fastest manner possible. And here's the important part, and here's what I'm stressing and emphasizing, by a minimal or minimized use of resources. That means all your consumables, with the exception, in my opinion, of maybe ammo packs, because you have tons of ammo packs. Most people are sporting, you know, ammo capacity 230 plus or 255 at maximum. To the extent that you can spare rockets, ops packs, and Metagel, of course, you don't want to be using that stuff. Metagel should not be a real issue unless you're stuck out in the open, you go Rambo, or you're cut off from the rest of the group, and you should instant Metagel. If not, your team members will usually just res you as soon as possible if they're competent. Ops packs, same thing, depends. If you get Banshee aids, and you're running a build like mine, which has no fitness, then it might be a good idea to use an ops pack. Regarding rockets, rockets should be used conservatively in this sort of farming setup. One, you can, if you want to increase your time and you don't mind using them, you can rocket spawn points, which is similar to a speed run. Otherwise, you're only going to be using it in 2 situations. One for eliminate target objectives, which we did have in the beginning, and if you are being overwhelmed in the small room, and I'll get to the small room in a second, and you have no other choice than you rocket them. If you have a competent team, the Demolishers are doing their job with grenades, refreshing the pylons and chucking the grenades, and the DPS characters are just destroying enemies non-stop. It shouldn't even come to that. You should barely have Banshees invading your room. They should be dead before arrival. But that's not always the case, because as much as easy as farming is, you do need people who can hit things accurately, even though it's fairly easy to hit things accurately in Glacier, and you need people who are competent, who are going to fulfill the roles that they have chosen. Be it a Demolisher or a DPS character, either way, they need to stick to that role and accomplish it as well. Cerberus is the better option of all the 3. In my experience, Geth have the stun lock. They take longer. In my experience, Cerberus is definitely the fastest. You do have occasional Banshees, and then you have the 1 wave with Geth, or maybe the later, I think, 2 waves. But Phantoms are fairly easy to take care of. The combination of high DPS characters, along with arc grenades and even homing grenades in some cases, usually just kills them quite quickly. So Cerberus is the fastest. Time-wise, since it's not a speed run, but you're looking to optimize your time, of course, I would say if you're taking longer than 20 minutes to do this, you're not working efficiently as a team, and you probably don't have a competent team, or you're doing something wrong, or just something went wrong and prolonged the match. It really depends on your objective. Now, we did get a very good time this time. Usually our times are closer to about 16 or 17 minutes, because we might get a hacking objective. We didn't get a hacking objective here, and so we were able to complete the farming in a more efficient, time-saving manner. So that was good. But regardless if you're taking 19 minutes or 14 minutes or whatever, at the end of the day, this is, in my experience, once again, non-axiomatic statement, the fastest and most efficient way to farm for credits. If you can do this consistently, in an hour's time, you will have 4 premium Spectre packs, which will give you 5 premium Spectre packs. You'll have well over 500k. And you'll be able to buy 5 premium Spectre packs. Now, the RNG gods are fickle, and they don't often help you, but there's not much you can do about that, right? All you can do is save the credits, earn the credits, and spend them. Even if you have most of your stuff maxed out or you don't care, we all run low on gear, and the best way to do that is to buy jumbos. And if you want that nice level 4 ammo or cyclonic modulator or whatever, then you probably are best advised to buy a premium Spectre pack. But this is basically the fastest way to earn credits. Once again, let's briefly go over everything. 2 demolishers, 1 GI, 1 destroyer. Demolishers refresh pylons constantly, throw grenades constantly. The GI uses proxy mine, uses a piranha, destroys everything as quickly as possible, along with the destroyer, who does something similar. He just uses piranha in clutch situations, or when you're about to get swarmed or you see large groups, then you shoot multi-frag grenades to take care of them. Missiles, use them conservatively, use them to eliminate targets, or if you're about to get overwhelmed, or in rare cases when you're able to, then rocket spawn points to make things go faster. And feel free to use as many ammo packs as possible. Other resources should be conserved as needed. After all, the point about farming is to minimize the use of your important resources. You don't want to be using lots of stuff. And apart from that, it is in some ways similar to a speed run. You want to get as good as a time as possible, but you also want to conserve your resources. I have found this to be the best way. This setup is, in my experience, every time much more effective than biotic setups. You can test it yourself, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's this very brief guide. But this is how you farm for credits in a very efficient, fast manner on Platinum. Like I said, you can do 4 matches an hour, and you'll have over 500k, which isn't too shabby. Compare that with normal Platinum matches or even PUG Golds, and you can see the advantage. It is a chore, it is boring, but ultimately, in my opinion, farming is a bit of a necessity. If you're running low on consumables, if you do want to max out your URs or get better stuff, then it is important to farm. It's a way of just getting it done quickly. Remember, the difference between speedruns and farming is speedruns don't take into account conservation of resources. Farming does, and so it does take a little bit longer, but you can still get very good times while conserving all of your most of your important resources. So, thanks for watching. That's this guide. There should be future guides in the future. The gods willing, I'll be able to learn Sony Vegas, and my guides will look a lot cooler at least. Until then, I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to post comments. I'm always happy to answer them to the extent that I can. And thanks for watching, and I look forward to your comments, views, and likes. Take care. Rocketing. Almost got it. Alright. Really good time.
Oh my god.
Alright, this is definitely the better video. I just hope it recorded better than the other one. That doesn't matter though, I mean, look at the time. It's probably the best time I've ever had farming, to be honest.
Yes, that is the best that I ever